What up, motherfuckers? Welcome back to a brand new video, and I'm gonna keep this maybe a little bit shorter than my usual videos. That last Matt Walsh video was like 23 minutes long, but you know, I still have some things to apparently acknowledge because, you know, I apparently forgot some things in that video. And also there was a comment that was criticizing me that I would also like to acknowledge because I think, you know, showing constructive criticism and stuff like that is good. So I might as well start with, I forgot in the video that this dude apparently has merch. So one of his like merch things or whatever is like some weird fucking baby plush, I guess. Oh my god, imagine like owning that like inside your home. Oh my god, that must be horrible. It looks so bad. Also, one of the things I did say in the video, or at least like one of the points I did make, was that he probably wants trans people dead. Do I still believe this? Well, kind of. I mean, he did say he'd rather be dead than have a trans child.
When I look at what these people have done to our country, the devastation they have wrought on a generation of children and adults alike, the bleakness and ugliness of their worldview, the moral and intellectual chaos they leave in their wake, yes, I get very angry. And when I consider that my own children must inherit this culture, that Dylan Mulvaney and his ilk will prey upon my children and try to turn my own sons and daughters into mutilated, mutant, self-loathing, hollow, twisted shells, just like themselves, well, my anger then turns into more of a boiling rage. And I know that I will do whatever is necessary, and I will speak whatever truths are necessary to protect my kids from this hellish, God-forsaken madness. Now, I have personally heard from many parents, more than I can count, who tell me versions of the same horror story. A beautiful and innocent kid, one day, seemingly out of nowhere, gets sucked into the gender cult and is devoured by it. The child they held as a baby and raised and gave their lives to and loved and still love becomes suddenly unrecognizable. All of their innocence and light and beauty just drained out of them, replaced by this self-cannibalizing madness. For a parent, to see this happen to a child, it is a fate worse than death. I would rather be dead than have that happen to my kids.
Now that is a pretty long clip, so I thought I sped it up for a reason. You know, my attention span can't handle this much. But when you're watching this, you think he's literally talking about like the worst people in the world, like pedophiles, rapists, like just like the bottom, like they don't even get hell, like they don't even get the fucking purgatory shit or whatever. They get nothing or whatever. But then you realize he's literally just talking about people who want to change their gender. Bro, I'm just saying, if I was transgender, bro, watching that video, I would probably assume, yeah, this nigga wants us all, like, to die. Okay, so while I was recording this video, I found this, like, one screenshot on Twitter that was, like, he'll be, like, being at a college in, like, New Mexico, and it's named, genocide, how trans people are, like, destroying the earth or something. Now, look, I don't know why he put genocide in the title, but, you know, I guess that's up for you to decide. You know, I'm not saying he wants trans people dead. I'm just saying it's just a little bit, tiny bit weird how he names it genocide, how trans people are, like, destroying the earth. Yeah, putting genocide in the title, alright, so you're implying, like, trans people, like, are killing everyone or something? Dude, it's honestly so funny when he's, like, coming up with these, like, theories that, like, trans people are, like, committing genocide on, like, the human life and stuff like that. But then he's talking about, like, people who just, like, want to change their gender. Dude, it's so fucking funny. I don't know, bro. It's kind of hard to take someone seriously when, like, they're saying stuff like the Catholic Church and, like, the pedophile scandal. That's because of gay people, alright? Gay people bad. So I was editing more of this video. Apparently, he said, Matt Walsh, you know, I'm gonna just play the clip here.
It is sometimes said by some on the right that the fight to protect women's sports and to defend the privacy and safety of women in their locker rooms and bathrooms must be fought primarily by the women themselves, or only by the women themselves. You know, if they're not going to defend their own spaces, then there's nothing the rest of us can do, the logic goes. But I've always felt that this line of thinking is a pathetic cop-out. I mean, it's something said by people who are trying to excuse their own inaction. It's the rationalization of cowards. Yes, women need to speak up. Yes, it's true that not enough of them are, but it's not the primary responsibility of young women in college and high school girls to beat back the march of gender ideology. Okay, that cannot fall on them to do. We can't leave them alone on the front lines.
So just by me just watching the first part of the video, I think what he is saying is basically, you know, women should be in public bathrooms and, you know, they should be safe in there and they should fight against if people, like, come in there, like, without their permission. I think that's a dumb cop-out, that's stupid and dumb, and I don't like it. All right, thank you, Matt. All right, next part of the clip, please.
Everything else about this guy is bizarre and disordered. But when he says he's really a woman, well, now that is obviously a lucid and sober insight into his own true nature. But once again, a gender transition, which is supposed to make somebody happy and fulfilled and just make their lives better, utterly failed. Rather than being happy and fulfilled, he was homicidal. Fortunately, this trans terrorist was foiled before he could carry out his plans, unlike the one here in Nashville. But we're still left with 2 planned trans terrorism attacks, one prevented, one not, in the span of 2 weeks. 2 of them. And in between the Covenant attack and the news of this other attempted massacre, we've seen trans mobs storm state capitol buildings, assault peaceful counter-protesters, topped off by a violent mob accosting a campus speaker and holding her hostage. And this is the trans violence that we've seen in just 2 weeks. And men, in my view, should be on the front lines, just as men should be on the front lines of any battle. If we leave the opponents of this ideology alone and isolated, they will be easy targets. So we all need to stand up. None of us belong on the sidelines. We're all called to the fight.
Okay, I'm not sure if that's how the actual original podcast goes, because I got this from Twitter, so I'm not sure if they cut it like that, but at the same time, it's pretty funny the pacing, if that's unironically the original video or whatever. Oh my god, the pacing of his podcast must be so goddamn hard to watch. He goes from women being protected in bathrooms or whatever, they should be able to protect themselves. I think that's dumb. That's a cop out. That's stupid, dumb, cringe. I don't like it. To fucking trans people bad. Once again, which is, oh my god, that is so funny. Do you not know what pacing is or something like that? I know this shit is just a random guy talking into his microphone and stuff like that. It's like a podcast, but I don't know if I was watching this and this was the original podcast or whatever. Yeah, I'd be kind of weirded out if we went from women being protected in bathrooms bad or something to trans people bad once again. That's dumb. Also, another thing I found while I was editing this video is Matt Walsh decided to have the brilliant opinion of saying, all of us today, we would be in a worse spot if slavery never existed. Yeah, you're so fucking right, Matt Walsh. Wait, you think I'm joking? No, he literally said that slavery, if it never existed, we would all be in a worse spot today. Yeah, he literally said that. In fact, let's play the clip right now. Play that shit.
And now we have totally, at that point, rewritten the history of the world in a way so dramatic that it's absolutely impossible to say which individuals today would end up worse or better in this alternate universe. I mean, if you go back in time and get rid of slavery from the entire world, you have it's impossible to say what the world looks like right now. Actually, what we can say is that we all end up worse. All of us today would be in a worse spot if slavery never existed at all across the entire globe. Because a change that significant would likely shift the course of events in a way that would mean none of us would even exist. It would be a world full of other people who are not us. So I know that I benefit today from virtually everything my ancestors did and everything did to them, because if any of that had not happened, there's a very good chance that I never would have come into being. And as I see it, I benefit from being if the other option is not being.
Okay, I think his point here is retarded. What he's talking about is yeah, it would change the significance of events. All of us wouldn't exist. What are you talking about? You're just coming up with some weird ass theory or something like that. All of us wouldn't. What do you mean us? White people? Is that what you mean? All of us? You mean white people, right? Because I don't know. In fact, I think slavery, if slavery didn't exist, we would be in a better spot today. The world would be way different, but in a good way. Also, not to mention, Matt Walsh has had really bad takes like this before in the past. There are a lot of shitty takes he's had on Twitter that are just the most retarded shit I've ever read. But yeah, we're gonna read some of them on the mic, and let's see, let's bash these takes, let's bash his opinions, let's cyberbully a transphobe today. I got broads in Atlanta, just to go be in the family, credit cards and scammers, getting the list in the van. Alright, so the first one we have is, if a 12-year-old is raped by her father and the father takes her to get an abortion, the evidence of the crime will be destroyed and he will go on molesting his victim for years. If, however, the child is born, his crime will be discovered and she will be rescued from the abuse. So this is his argument for abortion or whatever. First of all, people getting raped and stuff like that, women getting raped and shit like that, that's, their reason for abortion. That's one of the reasons why they would get an abortion. If they got raped, then, they would get an abortion and stuff like that. And, just correct me if I'm wrong there, alright? Maybe I am wrong or something, even though I thought everyone would fucking agree with that. But also another thing is, You know, doctors, aren't they like mandatory to reporting child abuse too? If a 12-year-old shows up at CVS to like get an abortion, or like some place to get an abortion, I didn't say CVS, my bad, but if like a child showed up at a random place to get an abortion, especially one that's 12 years old, they'd probably like question and probably call CPS or something. So yeah, this guy does not know what the fuck he's talking about. Okay, so I was trying to check if the tweet was real while, you know, recording this video. He deleted it. I can't find it, so, oh well. There's also the gay Prius tweet, you know, which he also deleted. True retardation classic right there. But yeah, in conclusion, I think Matt Walsh is a shitty person. In that comment where that one guy said, you know, I said that he probably wants trans people dead, or actually I did say in the video, all I know is he wants trans people dead. Do I still think that? Man, I wouldn't be surprised if he probably had that opinion or thing that he would want trans people dead. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he did have that opinion at all. But I think, you know, until he, you know, says, I want trans people dead like himself, I can't really say anything, I guess. But, you know, I'm just saying, with all this transphobic stuff and stuff like that that he says, you know, online, saying I'd rather be dead than have a trans child, I wouldn't be surprised if he had that opinion that, you know, that he would want trans people dead. But anyway, I think that's all for this video. I hope, you know, this was better than the last one, because I know that one guy didn't like it or something, and you're probably thinking, well, Lofi is queer, why do you care about that? Well, I want my videos, even though I want them to be hate pieces, you know, I want them to be valid hate pieces. You know, I want them to be valid hate pieces. I don't want to just slander a person online. That's dumb, that's boring. I think, you know, if I did slander him, then you know what, fair enough. And maybe I shouldn't have just said, oh, he wants trans people dead, but what I should have said is he probably does have that, you know, opinion, I guess. Whatever. That's all I really have to say. Thank you for watching. Peace.
Cannon.